let us go to the class 3 Heirs Agnates. I have already given the explanation who is an agnate in the very beginning of this lecture. One person, again I am repeating, one person is said to an agnate of another, A and B. B is an agnate to A when the two are related by blood or by adoption, wholly through the males. Wholly through the males. Marriage relation doesn't come between that. Only full blood, full group or by adoption, blood or adoption, blood or adoption. We are saying that related, the two are related by blood or adoption. What is meant by related? Here the related refers only to the legitimacy kinship and not the illegitimate. Legitimate kinship is required. And agnate may be connected wholly through the males. You can understand by seeing the illustrations later in the next slides. Wholly through the males. And here we are saying they have to be related. Related means legitimate kinship. Blood or adoption. Here blood includes again only the full blood and half blood. Full blood and half blood. Not the uterine blood. And agnates are entitled to claim the property only in the absence of all the class 1 and class 2 heirs. All the class 1 heirs and class 2 heirs must be absent. Then only the agnates are eligible to take that property. There is no limitation in number of degrees because son's son, class 1 heir. Son's sons is a class 1 heir. Son's son's son is a class 1 heir. So agnates when starts? Son's 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 son. Agnate starts here. Because these, although they are agnates, they are included either in the class 1 or class 2 heirs. So the nearer in degree are included in the class 1 and class 2. So here in this category comes the remote agnates, son's son, or son's daughter starts the agnates. The agnate may be male or female. The agnate may be male or female. End. All this you can understand by explaining the illustration in the next slide. So these agnates may be descendant, ascendants or collaterals. And the degree, what is the degree? When this agnates limits, there is no limitation to the number of degrees. Sons, and so on. There is no limitation. Because there is a class 1, there is a limitation. Son. Only son, there is a limit, they are only the class 1 heirs. After that, they are not a class 1 heirs. But when you come to the agnates, howsoever, you can go to an extent. After 20, but generally they won't alive together. But still, theoretically, even 10 generations of heirs or 100 generations of sons are also included in the agnates. There is no limitation to the number. And next we will see the cognates. Fourth class, cognates. Only 2 important points is to be remembered. Cognates were entitled to get the property only in the absence of agnates. And the difference between the agnates and cognates is also a very minute. That is, they are wholly related through the males, here not related through the males. These 2 things have to be remembered. Again, everything, the order of succession, distribution of the property, rules, everything is the same. So I am explaining both together, clubbed together, and I am explaining. There is no difference. Only thing you have to see whether it is a, suppose one line is agnate, other is a cognate. Cognate will not get anything, agnate will take the property. If both are agnate, apply the rules. If both are cognates, same rules apply. But what is required is agnates must be absent. Class 1 is absent, class 2 is absent, agnates must be absent. Then cognates are entitled. The only one that if you keep it, remember that particular point, and rest of the order of succession, distribution of the property, everything is the same. So cognate, who is a cognate? One person is said related to the another as a cognate, both must be related by blood or adoption. It is also same agnate. but not wholly through the male. Here the cognates are not related wholly through the male. That is, some female intervenes in any of the way, not necessarily in the particular degree. At any anywhere if the female intervenes, it is a cognate. So it is the relation between the interstate and the cognate is a mixed one. It includes both the gender, male and female. And the rest are said legitimate. Legitimate means related means legitimate kinship. Similarly, blood means full blood and half blood. The rules are everything is the same. The remember is in the absence of the agnate, cognate will get the property, and cognate is the one not wholly through the male. These agnates and cognates may be descendants, ascendants, or collateral, anything. So see one by one. Descendants. Who are the descendants? I said that sons is up to class 1. After that, if you take the deceased and son's daughter, even at the end may be male or female. End may be male or female. But between the son's daughter and the interstate, between all must be the male. Son's son. All are male. And the end, son's daughter. She is an agnate to the interstate. And all the sons means it is related by blood or adoption. It is a blood or adoption. And this son's daughter is an agnate to another related wholly through the males. No female intervenes. Son's son. All the three are males. Then we can say that she or he, son's daughter, or agnate to the interstate. Now see the descendant of the cognate. Son's daughter, son's daughter's son, son's daughter's son's son. See, daughter is intervene, a female intervene. In between the line, a female intervenes. So it is a cognate. So descendants, a descendants. What are the ascendants? Upward, ancestors or ascendants. Father's father, father's mother. See, in between interstate and the agnate, all are male. Father's father. All are male. And the relation is also blood. Father means blood relation it is. It is not a marriage relation, it is a blood relation. Or adoption may also include, one may get adopted also. So blood or adoption. Wholly through the males. At the end, even the female, father's mother is also an agnate to the interstate. You take cognate. In the cognate, father's mother. Mother intervene, a female intervene. It is a cognate. So father's mother's father, mother's mother, they are cognate to the interstate. So these father's mother's father is entitled to get the share only in the absence of the agnate. So they are called ascendants. Ancestors are called as ascendants. Ascendants of the agnates, ascendants of the cognate. Now, where it includes both ascent as well as descent, that is called as collateral. Collateral agnates and collateral cognates. So, same, collateral agnates means all are male. In between the deceased and the heir, all are male. So, for example, collateral, if you take father's father. Now, father's son. Who is he? Father's son. Great grandfather's brother. And father's son's son. He is a cousin to the grandfather. And their children are agnate to the descendants. Similarly, father and father's mother, father's mother's father. Mother is there. Mother is in between the line. A female is in between the line. They are cognates. So father's mother's father's son and father's mother's father's son's son or daughter, they are cognate to the intestate. So thus ascendants, descendants, and include both ascent and descendants. They are called as collaterals. Ascendants, descendants, and collaterals. Now, order of succession. How the property will be distributed again in agnates and cognates. I am saying that rules are same for agnates and cognates. One thing you have to remember is, again I am repeating, if there is a cognate and agnate, cognate will not get anything. First you have to see both are agnates or not. Both are cognates or not there. If you see and confirmed that both are agnates, rules are applied. If there is one is agnate, other is a cognate, cognate won't get anything and you have to decide only the agnates. The rules are other rules are all same. The first rule says, of the heirs, there are two heirs. The first rule of two heirs, the one has a fewer in degree. The one has a fewer in degree or no degree of ascent, no degree of ascent. Rule 1 says there are two heirs, one has either a fewer degree or no degree of ascent, preference will be given. Rule 2 says where the number of ascent are same, ancestors are the same, the number of ascents are same or none, either the ascents are same or none, then preference will be given to the heir who has a fewer in degree or no descent. That is rule 2 says. And rule 3 says where the number of ascent and descents are the same, the property will be distributed equally and simultaneously. These rules you can understand by seeing an illustrations. Before going the illustrations, how to compute a degree. Section 13 gives the calculation, method of calculation. How the property is to be distributed among the agnates and cognates. There are three rules. First rule says about the knocking a relationship between the intestate and the heir. And the second says ascent and the descent shall be computed. Each generation will be counted as a 1 degree. And third rule says you have to start counting with the intestate. I will explain in detail that section 13 gives a calculation, a method of calculation for the degree of ascent, how you will count ascent, how you will count descent, how you will count this collateral. That method of calculation will be given by section 13, method of calculation regarding the degree of ascent, degree of descent or degree of both ascent and descent. Why this calculation? With this calculation we can identify who are the preferential heir. Suppose if they are A and B, by using this calculation method, it gives that A is the preferential heir. So the A will take the whole property. So in this way, this calculation helps in deciding who are the preferential heir. And there are ascents means ascendants upwards, descent means descendants downwards, and sometimes it includes ascendants as well as descendants. And this said that first rule says the relation shall be renoked from the intestate to the heir. Intestate to the heir in terms of degree of ascent or descent or both. Rule 2 says that each generation is to be counted as a 1 degree. Intestate is a first degree, his son is a second degree, his son's son is a third degree, and so on. You have to start counting with the intestate. Intestate is always the first degree. Intestate is always the first degree. So these are the three rules explained under section 13. Now we'll go to the illustration so that you can understand very easily. Now, a deceased is having two heirs. Two heirs. One is son's daughter's son's son. Son's daughter's son's son. And second, father's daughter's son. Okay? You can see the illustration. These two are the heirs are there. How related son's daughter's son? How she is related to the interstate? Son, son's daughter's son, son's daughter's son's son. So, only in the descent. No ascent. No connection to the grandfather. Only descent. Son, son's daughter's son, and son's daughter's son's son. So, only descent. Son's daughter's sons has only the descent. But whereas the other heir has an ascent. Father, father's daughter's daughter, and father's daughter's s. So, preference has to be given to the first one because he has no degree of ascent. The relation will come distant. Son's daughter's son is a closure when compared to the father's daughter, father's daughter's daughter, father's daughter. It is a distant relation. So, it will be excluded, and the one who has no ascent, who has no ancestor, preference will be given to the son's daughter's son's son. For example, in the other illustration, both there is no ascent, no grandparents, all are son's children only. So, son, in the first line, son, son's son, son's son's son, son's son's son, son's 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 daughter. So, how many generation? Interstate, first degree, son is the second degree, son's son is the third degree, son's son's son is the fourth degree, and son's son is the fifth degree, and son's D is the sixth degree. So, son's D, 4 sons and 1 D, 5 interstate 1, 6. What about the other heir? Other heir is interstate, first degree, son, second degree, son's son, third degree, son's son is the fourth degree, son's D is the fifth degree. The other is the sixth degree, and this is the fifth degree. The preference will be given to the heir who is in the fifth degree. This is the rule 1 says. One heir has no ascent, the other heir has an ascent. Preference will be given to the person who has no ascent. In the second illustration, there are no ascent, both are descendant. Who are the fewer in degree will be given the preference. So, one is in the fifth degree, other is the sixth degree. The one who is in the fifth degree will take the whole property. Next, second rule. This second rule says between the ascent are common. Here 3 degrees, here 3 degrees. Father, father's father. Here also father, father's father. Father, father's father. But there is no descent. It ends father, father's father, ends there. But here, father, father's father, father's descents are there. Preference will be given to the one who has no descent. Because father, father's father is nearer when compared to father, father's father, father's father, daughter, father's daughter, and father's father, daughter's son. So remote. So when there is both ascents are the same degree, 4, 4, but he has no descent, other has a descent, preference will be given to the one who has no descent. This is the second rule says. And the third rule says, ascent are same, 3 degrees, descent are all same, 4 degrees, both will take equally and simultaneously. So, this is the how this interstate succession from section 8 to 13 rules and decides who are the heirs and what is their order and what is the value of the share. And one thing you have to remember, all these rules will come into picture only in the absence of the wills. That's it.